Have you ever wondered just how far the United States Congress can go when it investigates an issue or a person? It is a fascinating aspect of our system of checks and balances. Congressional investigative power, while broad and essential for effective governance, is not limitless. These powers are bounded by the Constitution and subject to judicial review. The primary source of congressional power is implied from its legislative function, meaning investigations are necessary to gather information for making laws. However, this power is constrained by several fundamental principles. First, the investigation must serve a legitimate legislative purpose. It cannot be for punishment, exposure for exposure's sake, or to invade areas purely within state jurisdiction. Second, individual rights are protected. The First Amendment, including freedom of speech and association, and the Fourth Amendment, protecting against unreasonable searches and seizures, apply to congressional inquiries. This means Congress cannot compel testimony that violates the right against self-incrimination, for instance. Third, the separation of powers imposes boundaries. Executive privilege, a doctrine that allows the president and executive branch officials to withhold certain information from Congress, sometimes presents a limitation. Similarly, the judicial branch can review the legality of congressional subpoenas and compel compliance, ensuring these investigations remains within constitutional bounds. These are crucial checks designed to prevent overreach by the legislative branch. So what does this mean in practice? It means that if Congress issues a subpoena for documents or testimony, the recipient can challenge it in court. They might argue that the subpoena lacks a legitimate legislative purpose, or that it infringes upon a constitutional right like due process. Courts then step in to weigh these claims against Congress's need for information. This delicate balance often leads to protracted legal battles, such as those concerning executive privilege, where the judiciary ultimately determines the scope of congressional authority versus executive branch confidentiality. Understanding these mechanisms helps us see how governmental branches interact and hold each other accountable. A key concept here is inherent contempt power, which means Congress has the power to hold individuals in contempt for refusing to comply with subpoenas. However, this power is rarely exercised directly. Instead, Congress often relies on the courts to enforce its subpoenas, demonstrating the interdependency of the branches even in contentious oversight matters. This reliance on judicial enforcement underscores the principle that no single branch operates in isolation. Ultimately, the limits on congressional investigative power highlight the genius of our constitutional framework. They ensure that even essential governmental functions, like oversight, are conducted within a framework that respects individual liberties and maintains the delicate balance between the branches of government. These limitations are not weaknesses, but rather fundamental safeguards of our democratic system.